There's no question that Nike and Adidas have been dominating the football world for decades, but the competition is definitely catching up. And now, a company that was once a relative newcomer in the football space, like New Balance, has some of the best football boots on the entire market. And you can tell that New Balance is really invested in making things work in the football world because they've sponsored top players like Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling, and Sadio Mane. And on top of that, they've been seriously innovating their model lines year over year. So the question is, how do the current top-end models from New Balance stack up against the competition from Nike and Adidas? And that's exactly what we're going to be discussing today in this video. We're going to be covering the top 3 models from the New Balance line and discuss where they fit among their competitors. And if you are interested in picking up any of the boots that we discuss in this video, I'll leave a link below to the Upper 90 website where you can find them online with a discount code. And now let's get into the video. And the first boot we're going to be discussing is the most affordable model in the New Balance line, and that's the 442 V2 Pro. Now this is an entry-level leather football boot, and if you're into leather boots in general and have enjoyed models like the Copa Mundial, the Nike Tiempo Legend, then the 442 is going to be right up your alley. It's got a really high quality full kangaroo leather upper that spreads all the way from the toe box back to the heel and throughout the tongue. It's got a really comfortable wide fit, as do most other New Balance boots, and you'll find that the 442 also has a traditional lacing system that's going to provide you a lot of lockdown as well. So how do I think the 442 stacks up to other leather football boots that might be at a similar price point? Well, I think that there's a few main points to consider. And first off is going to be build quality. In my opinion, having worn the New Balance 442 as well as the Mizuno Morelia, which is a much more expensive leather football boot, the quality of the New Balance 442 stacks up against leather boots that are almost twice the price. And I would definitely say that the 442 has higher quality build and materials than slightly cheaper models like the Nike Premier 3 and the Adidas Copa Glora. As far as the boot that it's the most similar to, you can kind of tell just by looking at it that it looks pretty close to the Adidas Copa Mundial. And although the Copa Mundial is a boot that I've worn in the past and I do really enjoy, I think that the New Balance 442 is a little bit more modern and it has it beat in a few key areas. One of the most noticeable is going to be weight. The plastic tooling on the sole plate of the New Balance 442 is a lot lighter than the Copa Mundial sole plate, which feels a little bit more traditional and bulky. The sole plate on the 442 is also a bit more rigid and it's going to provide more of a snap that a speed boot might give you. And with all of that being said, the New Balance 442 retails for just $130, whereas the Copa Mundial sells for over $160. So regarding value for money, you definitely can't go wrong with this boot. If you're looking for a simple leather football boot with a traditional design, I would definitely recommend checking out the 442s. They're really comfortable and have great build quality. I'd say if you're looking for something with a little bit more of a feature set and something with an elasticated tongue and more memory foam pads throughout the upper, you can definitely look at the Nike Tiempo Legend 9 and the new Tiempo Legend 10 that's coming out. Just keep in mind that that boot is no longer to be made with leather. And up next, we have our second model from New Balance, and that's the Tequila V4 Pro. Now, I've already talked about this model in length in our best laceless football boots of 2023 video, and there's a good reason for that, and that's because I think the Tequila V4 is definitely the best laceless football boot that you can get right now. And ultimately, the reason I think it's better than the alternatives, mainly from Adidas, are due to two main things: comfort and performance. And that's not to say that any of the boots from Adidas's laceless lineup don't fit comfortably. I just think that the New Balance Tequila is definitely a cut above. For example, the Predator Accuracy Plus is a really nice wide-fitting football boot that's going to be great for a lot of foot shapes. And the Copa Pure Plus and the Adidas X Speed Portal are going to fit a little bit more snug and narrow and going to be better for players with those foot types. However, I just feel like the Tequila V4 Pro kind of fits in the middle. It's almost like a Goldilocks football boot. It feels wide at the points where you need it to, and it feels snug and narrow at the points where you want a little bit more lockdown. I really like the upper of this football boot as well. It's from a hypoknit material that feels almost like a synthetic leather to me. It has that really soft, pliable feeling, but also gives the sense that it's going to be durable as well. And the elasticated collar that goes around the ankle is also pretty comfortable, stretchy, and provides a small amount of support as well. New Balance is also doing something pretty cool with the sole plate tooling. This is something that I haven't really seen from any other brand. Throughout the center of the boot, you have mostly conical studs, and then towards the toe box, around the perimeter of the boot, you have these sharper bladed studs that are going to give you more traction when pushing off from a starting position. This is a stud configuration that's actually similar to what you would see in American football boots. And I think it's a great idea to help add just a little bit more agility to the boots. And as I mentioned earlier with the Tequila, I feel like they have great performance. And what I mean by that specifically is that they have great lockdown. Because when you ditch laces in a football boot, you're potentially losing one of the most important things that you get from your pair of boots, and that's lockdown. Because the last thing you want is taking a step or sprinting in your boots and your heel slipping out. And I feel like the Tequilas wrap your foot really closely, almost like a sock, without feeling too tight, but it's close enough to the point where you don't feel any heel slipping, and the lockdown is really excellent. And on top of all of that, while Adidas's laceless football boots retail for $280, you can find the New Balance Tequila V4 Pro for around $220 or less. So if you are a player that's been interested in new laceless technology that's been emerging, I would definitely recommend just at least checking out the Tequilas. And finally, we have the most popular boot in the New Balance lineup, and it's the one that all of the pros wear as well, and that's the New Balance Furon V7 Pro. And in my opinion, this is right up there with the Mercurial Vapor 15 as the best speed boot that's currently on the market. And one of the reasons I think that is going to be because I have a little bit of bias, because these boots happen to fit me so much better than the other top-end speed boots. And that's because personally, I have wider feet, especially towards the toe box area, and the New Balance Furon V7 Pros just happen to have a lot of space throughout the toe box. And competitors like the Adidas X Speed Portal as well as the Vapor 15 just happen to be really snug and tapered towards that toe box, making it harder to find enough room. And this boot also just feels really comfortable. Sometimes when you have offset lacing systems like you do in the Furon V7, I feel like there can be some pressure points that are created. That's how I felt in last year's version of the Phantom. But in the Furon, I just don't notice any of those same pressure points. The lockdown on the boots are really even throughout the toe box all the way through the midfoot, and the addition of that offset lacing system just means that you have a cleaner striking surface on the ball. You get a similar hypoknit material that's used on the Tequila that carries over to the Furon as well, and as I mentioned, it's a really comfortable upper. And to tie everything up, the sole plate is also one of the most aggressive that you can find among any speed boot that's on the market. And if I were to nitpick just a few things that I wasn't a huge fan of about the Furon V7, the colorways that came out initially, I'm not a huge fan of. However, there have been some better ones that have been released recently. There's an all-white colorway that looks great, and Bukayo Saka released an exclusive red colorway that looks amazing as well. And another key point for those that really care about having a lightweight football boot, the Furon V7, despite being really comfortable, is also lighter than the Speed Portal or the Vapor 15. In fact, it's the lightest speed boot that's currently on the market. With all that being said, now that the Furon V7 has been selling for a little over a year now, you can find models going for under $130. And when you see how much the Vapor 15 and the Speed Portal are going for, $130 for one of the best speed boots you can get is amazing value. So now that we've got a chance to discuss these three flagship models from New Balance, in summary, yes, I don't think New Balance is creating football boots that just compete with Nike and Adidas, but in many cases, they're creating boots that surpass them. But this isn't just a good thing for New Balance, I think this is actually a good thing for consumers as well. Because innovation from other companies is going to encourage the giants like Nike and Adidas to improve their products and ultimately make better boots. And that's something that we can all benefit from. So if you've gotten the chance to try on any of these boots that we discuss, let me know what you think of them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.